So email is, and will always be the king when it comes to marketing. And the reason being is this, is that when you put a post out on, let's say, Instagram, you are battling for attention. You don't even know if that post is going to actually be seen on the person's feed that's following you because there's so much noise, right? When you have a listing on Airbnb, there is so much noise. You don't even know if somebody is going to see your listing. And even if they hit on your listing, Airbnb is actively going, oh, you like this? Check out this, check out that. Now, when it comes to an email, when you send that email and I send it to Ruben and you open that email up, there is one-on-one communication, no noise. And as long as it's a well-written email, they are going to read it to the fullest, and then there'll be a click to action at some way, shape, or form. It's a fantastic form of communication, especially if you can personalize it to make it look like you've addressed it to them.
Who's this? Oh, you're an entrepreneur? Oh, you're a real estate investor. Oh, you're trying to learn from those who did it. Well, come into the lab then. Put your white coat on, gloves on, notepad, and let's build, y'all.
Experiment Nation. Listen. This gentleman here, you guys know him because, and if you haven't, it's a damn shame because everywhere I go, I give my shout outs to. It's so funny because you've done such a great job of branding yourself that I get caught up sometimes. I'll be like, yeah, Mark Boosley. And I'm like, Mark Simpson. What's wrong with me? So you've done such a good job branding yourself. That's what I call branding, that like your name is interchangeable with your brand. People are like the Boosley guy, the Boosley. So it's funny. I don't think I ever asked you, Mark. And last time you were here was episode 130, which was about a year and some change ago. Because we're at like this is probably gonna be episode 2. Are we in the 230s? I'm losing track. 220s. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah,
Nice work.
thanks,
Nice
brother.
work.
I've been cutting my teeth. So
Yeah.
I've been privileged to have guys like you where we've kind of met online, like Clubhouse days, and then we fostered a relationship. You and I actually met for the first time in person. Like this is like aside from all the audios, like working together, sending business to each other, introductions, like audio. And I love the audios on WhatsApp that we send each other. But like after all that, and this is very
Yeah.
common, you guys, right? Because you guys like I have a whole team that I've been working with for years, like half decades, that I've never met before. So it's the power, what a time to be alive. But you and I actually connected in the flesh. It's been what, 2 months now in Nashville?
Yep. Stay together as well.
That
In
was
the
all
same
you, man. I
apartment.
appreciate you doing that. You brought quality people. We met. It was everything more than I expected, and it was just amazing. Good vibes.
And we recorded
We did.
an in-person
That
podcast
was
as well
fun.
on the
No,
fly.
that's what we do. It was
Yeah.
yeah.
Equipment was bought last minute. Just putting
You
it
remember
together
that?
made it.
So it's funny because I never leave. Like I always travel. My wife actually got me this traveling kit, and while I was packing, I was like, I'm not gonna need that. Like I wasn't even saying that I'm not gonna need it. I think I was trying to consolidate things because I think we were making a pit stop somewhere. And for the first time, y'all, I did not bring my mic. And then like I had an unread. I was misbehaving. I was not caught up with my messages with you. And I'm literally at the airport and I listen to your message. Hey man, make sure you bring your mic because I'm like, stop. So then I went to go get my shirt mic. I don't know where I ordered it. I ordered a second mic right away, and I think I had my arm, or I don't know, but we made it happen.
Yeah. Like it was so cool because like for context, what I wanted to do when I went to Nashville, I wanted to do something where we could bring like some really cool content creators together, call it our content house, and like just be together. Like there's a day where someone got a picture. I think it was Brian got a picture. We're just all sat at the table, with laptops are out, chatting and just sharing stories and just getting some work done, which I love that day. And it just made that experience of Nashville all the better because I was going to spend it with the people that that I know, like, love and trust in this industry. And I think it was like day 2 or day 3, we're like, let's record a podcast like just after it ends and do like a little recap. And so we're getting ready, we're getting changed, getting showered, getting drinks, and it was like, right, let's get it done. Before I knew it, we had camera, microphones, test mic test, and I'd just come off stage at Nashville, so it was just a bit of a whirlwind. And before I knew it, we were recording, and then we all went out for dinner and had some drinks. And it was a good final night in Nashville. But yeah, I loved it, and we're going to do round 2
Yes, which we
next year.
have to plan behind the scenes
So
there. That's for sure. And I know you were doing your rounds, so I feel like it was
yeah,
some of a lot of creators. Like I was just with Rich Summers in San Diego, and I know he had gotten a few. He kind of planted the seed a little bit too when we were brainstorming after. I'm like, we're onto something here. Like we did the podcast in person, and then he was rotating people in and out. Like I know he had done Avery, he did you, and I was like, that might be
yep,
something like podcast
yep.
on wheels. I know you like ideas, so let me just
Do love that. I love that idea. And yeah, like Rich definitely gave me the idea when I saw like the setup and stuff.
Mhm.
And it's super simple to do, like not that too much kit. And yeah, but powerful because you can just create so much. Like, and I love in-person podcasts as much as I love
Yeah.
jumping on like a Zoom or a StreamYard. I feel like an in-person podcast, it just, again, like it just feels good. This is why I love watching podcasts
Mhm.
outside of our industry. Like I look at Flagrant, with Andrew Schultz podcast, comedy podcast, and I see the comedy world and what they do with podcasts, having it in person. You just feel that more of a connection, and I love it, and I love that I see Micah and Stevie Stacks did an in person one on their
Yes.
Live Let Fry, which was cool. Yeah, and I love seeing that, and I feel like those ones just really do come off like really well, and I love doing it. I look forward to doing the next one in Nashville in
That's gonna be the
February next year.
evolution, y'all. So first of all, I'm wearing this lab coat because we actually talked about this and we kind of spoke into existence from a branding perspective. We were talking about it. I'm like, should I bring the lab coat out? Should I do it? My wife was giving me pushback. I'm like, Celine, man, let me do the branding, all right? And we convinced her. And so when I was running by you, Michael Elefante, and all that, I'm like, all right, let's bust out the lab coat. So that actually came out from that. And that's what you get, right? When you're in a group of like-minded individuals, you get insights and lessons. But the reason I say that too, it makes me think of the
Yeah.
evolution. When I think of the next evolution, like what I want to do from a show is I was always inspired, like heavily inspired by Impact Theory. Tom Billio, like his
Yep, yep,
setup,
yep, yep.
his questions. Like
Yeah.
I know I like when I know
Yeah.
you've given me a few kudos offline.
I love you. I love your interview style. And again, I've done 600 episodes, and I like to think that I can construct a question, but you just do it so well. Like how you like handle a podcast and handle an interview.
Thanks,
I'm a
man.
big fan.
I
So
appreciate
yeah,
that,
props
man.
to you.
I really do appreciate that because I do take it very seriously and I love having great conversations, right? Um, which is a good segue because
Yeah.
we're having some really crucial conversations around our space, right? And just for context, right? Like when you came about a year and some change ago, we were talking about booking direct. Your boy over here was just, I was listening. I'm always listening, and thank God you're able to kind of plug me into that world. And we did a complete 180 and started literally we're 80% book direct,
You had
80%,
some big
90,
you had
like
big
180.
direct bookings. Yeah, I remember seeing the Insta. Yeah, I saw the Instagram pop up where you'd like putting through the big direct booking. We're
Yeah.
talking some change.
It
So
was
it's
all
like,
you,
yeah,
man,
it's good.
too. And we were talking
Mhm.
about it offline, and you're
Yeah,
like, "Hey, man, I think you gotta get a site because I was, I was using Guesty for host, which they've been good, but like your UI team, man, and like your plugins, and like being able to just have an Airbnb URL and like plugging that in and like pushing it out, I was just like super grateful. So now I've been like a huge Boostly promo just because not just saying it because you're my buddy, but because you have a good product, and that's why you're very relevant in
thank
the
you.
space, and people know the name of your brand. You can only go so far with promoting, but when you have an actual quality product that works, I think the marketing speaks for itself. So I just want to give you your flowers while we're on the air. A, because I respect you, and B, because I'm an actual user of your product, and I'm really very happy with what you've built and your team. So salute.
No, pleasure. I love to be able to do this and be able to work with the people that I like, and it's amazing to be able to do it. So thank you for
You
the
bet, man.
opportunity.
But see, the thing is, what I like about you, Mark, is you don't just stop there, right? You kind of build a huge community, built a huge which it's funny, it's a website, but really turning into software as a service, which is a great segue for what I think is happening in the industry right now. The elephant in the room, the elephant, it's AI. and how, we've been really geeking out
Mhm.
about it. I've seen you cover a lot of content on it, and I think it's, you know, that's what I appreciate about you. You're not just talking the talk, you're walking the walk. And I've had very similar conversations with my team. It's like, hey, like, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Like, it's not that your job is replaceable, because it is. But if you think about the lens of the direction we're trying to go in as a company, how do we start leveraging these tools internally so that we can become more efficient, effective operators internally, right? Because now we have a huge help and a sidekick to help us, expedite or streamline or even, speed up the process, automate, and think of volume and quality rather than thinking of, like, from a place of scarcity of, like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to me. And I've really echoed that internally for our company. It's like, you know we not need to have the ability, and I know you and I talked about this, on how to leverage a tool to our advantage, and being able to use it like a person internally that's on our team, because that's exactly what it can be if you utilize it correctly. And so I know you've been going deep into that space, and I'm learning so much so quickly. Things are changing so quickly, but, like, when you think about AI and the impact it can have on the hospitality industry, is there a specific area where you feel is going to be the lowest hanging fruit? Or, and with that question, is there an area that we're not really paying attention to, that I know you're ahead of the curve, that you see as an opportunity for us to capitalize on? Let's start with the former,
Yeah.
of where you see as the lowest hanging fruit of, if people are not really leveraging this, they should really start tapping into it. Is there one that comes to mind, Mark?
Yeah, 100%. So I think if we just dial it back a little bit, what is AI? What is ChatGPT? How is it going to impact us? Well, ChatGPT 4, which is the latest iteration of this tool that has come out from OpenAI. ChatGPT 4 is 1,000 times cleverer than any
How many
human
times?
on this planet, which 1,000 times cleverer than any human on this planet. And what it basically does is it takes anything that has been recorded in history that's online, and it reads it trillions of pages in like a minute, and it will give you an answer to the question that you give it. And sometimes it can add a little bit of creativity on top. Okay, so that is what you have. And there's a guy called Kevin Kelly. He was the writer of a blog that I fell in love with back in 2016 called A Thousand True Fans. He was talking about AI with Tim Ferriss on his podcast, and he said, "Imagine ChatGPT and AI as being the most qualified intern that you will ever have." So an intern isn't going to run your business, isn't going to run your world, but they are there to give you facts. They are there to give you resources. They are there to maybe give you some prompts, maybe to give you a little bit of juice to help you run what you're doing. And so the lowest hanging fruit for everybody right now that I've seen, that I've used, can be marketing. So where do I see hosts struggle the most? It's with the words that they use when they're trying to put a post on social media or an email or a blog post. The amount of people that are in my world is into its many thousands, and I'm regularly surveying them. I'm regularly asking them questions. One of the questions is, okay, so how many people do you have on your email list? And it'll range from one to thousands. And then the second question is, how many times are you emailing that list? And it goes very quiet, very quick. And I'm a firm believer that you should be at least emailing once a week. So when I say once a week, the instant kickback is, I don't know what to send. I don't know what to write. Well, this is where you can go to the most qualified intern in the world, which is ChatGPT, which is, by the way, free to use. You can do bard.google.com, or you can go to ChatGPT. If you use version 3.5, it's free. Version 4 is paid, but it's a very small $20 a month. It's like Netflix costs. And you can ask for it to become your qualified email copywriter, and you would like for it to put an email together for you, no more than 300 words, talking about X, Y, or Z. So chat to, I want to compose an email on the top 5 things to do in York in the United Kingdom. and I want it specifically based at families, and make sure one of them is talking about Harry Potter. You give it the context, you give it the prompts, and it will do it like that. You can go away, make a cup of tea, come back, and it's done. And then all you got to do is copy it, paste it, tidy the grammar up a little bit, and then you can send it out to your list. The marketing aspect is so key, and that's just an email. Imagine a blog post. So Boostly does website design, as we know, and one of the best ways to get a website seen is by creating fresh content. It's just like any SEO, Airbnb SEO, the Google algorithms, Facebook algorithms. If you want to get your content seen, you've got to be regularly creating content. And when someone says that their website isn't being seen, it's because they've got a website and they've left it dormant. They've not done anything. So blogging is one of the easiest ways to get picked up more regularly on SEO. And again, you go to a host, you should be, writing a blog on your website at least once a month, And they go, well, I just don't know what to write. Let's go to the most qualified intern in the world, the free intern in the world, ChatGPT. So, hey, I want you to become not an email copywriter this time. I want you to become a copywriter who's an expert at writing blogs. And this is literally, I am talking to ChatGPT like this. I'm not going in and saying, write me a blog. I'm saying, okay, ChatGPT, please, can you become for me an expert copywriter that specializes in writing blogs? And this is going to be a lifestyle blog. What we're going to do is we're going to write a blog that is going to appeal to families looking for things to do in York, loves Harry Potter, whatever it may be. That's how you're going to explain it. You're going to give it a good 300 word prompt that then it's going to go and work its magic. When I'm chatting to GPT, I'm literally brain dumping my ideas in, and there's no rhyme or reason or order to it. And then I'll hit go, boom. And it produces to me a beautifully written blog that I just tidy up in a tool like Grammarly. So Grammarly is Grammarly. It's a tool that everybody's heard about. Everybody's uses it to a certain extent. Both of the books that I have written, one of them is behind your shoulder there. The blueprint and the playbook was literally proofread by Grammarly. it's a cool tool, and I tidy it up and I post it out. And so it's a huge time-saving tool. So a blog post, people will think, oh, I've got to spend like a good few hours doing this or weeks doing this. You can have it done in 5 minutes. So the lowest hanging fruit is those little things that you can be doing within marketing right now. And we can talk about high-level stuff as well if you like.
Saying that, because I think it goes back to the core fundamentals of marketing. It's building an email list. And I think sometimes there's, and I would love for you to give insight on this. There's like, oh, well, everyone's marketing, and the people who market, I don't read their emails. But can you talk about the power of that? Because I think there are some fundamentals that are fundamentals for a reason, and they're still strong principles that work. And I think we often sometimes overlook that, and we're looking at the next hot thing. Can you talk about that for a second? There's a reason why you mentioned email. Why is that still relevant? And what can you tell us from your experience is still critical, and why it still works if it does? Can you tell us insight on that?
Oh, so much. So email is and will always be the king when it comes to marketing. And the reason being is that when you put a post out on, let's say, Instagram, you are battling for attention. You don't even know if that post is going to actually be seen on the person's feed that's following you, because there's so much noise, right? When you have a listing on Airbnb, there is so much noise. You don't even know if somebody is going to see your listing. And even if they hit on your listing, Airbnb is actively going, oh, you like this? Check out this, check out that. Now, when it comes to an email, when you send that email, and I send it to Ruben, and you open that email up, there is one-on-one communication, no noise. And as long as it's a well-written email, they are going to read it to the fullest, and then there'll be a click to action at some way, shape, or form. It's a fantastic form of communication, especially if you can personalize it to make it look like you've addressed it to them. And the reason why it is so powerful is that for every $1 spent on email marketing, it returns $42 back.
That's wild.
That's a 4,200% return of investment. And even with open rates slightly dropping, on a whole, it is still by far the most powerful form of marketing that there is. So much so, when our family business was in our hands, and if we ever had a blank calendar, we could open up an email, send out an email, and we would have a booking within hours. Because the cool thing about an email is that once you send it out, and whether you send it through MailChimp or ActiveCampaign or MailerLite or whatever you're using, Market My SDR that Bill's launched recently, whatever you send out an email out, not only can you see who has opened it, but you can see who has clicked it on that email as well, to clicked on your click to our. So what happened was is that when we sent an email out, we would send it, the click to A would go to our direct booking website. So if we send an email out saying, hey, we've got limited availability, these are the rooms that are available, would you be interested? I can see who's opened it and where they've clicked. And if I can see someone that's clicked to go to our website, I know they're interested. And I'll just go to my PMS and I see if they haven't booked, then I will send them a follow-up email personally, and I'll make it so uber personal. I can go, hey, Ruben, I can see that you're interested in looking to book a stay with us. Anything I can help you with? Or even better, if I have your phone number, I'd give you a call to say, hey, Ruben, it's Mark from Boosley. It's like, Mark from the Granary. Hope you're doing well. Hey, I can see you're looking to make a booking, but you haven't booked anything yet. Can I help you with anything? And that's the power of email. It's not like a shotgun approach. It's a sniper approach.
I mean, direct marketing 101. Like, that's what it's always been, direct.
Yeah. Yep, and I love it, and I always revert to email, and more recently, ManyChat has come along, and that's SMS marketing, and I love a bit of SMS because the like SMS open rates is 91%, because the only way to get rid of an SMS is you got to open it, right? So, there's some really cool things that I'm using, but it all comes back to the key thing is build a list.
Yeah,
you've got to build a list. You've got to have the database, because, even if, let's just say 60% of your bookings come from Airbnb, right? Every booking that comes from Airbnb or comes from Verbo or booking.com or wherever, you've got to be, even if you're not going to convert that to a direct booking, you've got to be getting a data. You've got to be building a list. A list is phone number, email address, postal address. There's so many cool and simple ways to do so, but the more you can do it, even if you just start today, you get to 5 by the end of the month, you can get to 10 by the end of the quarter, by the end of the year, you're up to 100. That's 100 phone numbers, emails that you've got that you can remarket to. And it's so powerful.
And what I love too, that we're not really, maybe that we really need to bring home, it's a one-to-many action, right? Like when we had our e-commerce business, we had like less of 20,000, and it was unbelievable, because that's what it really hit me. Because I think sometimes you hear it and you're like, okay, so what we're trying to do is like bring this home, because in my head, if you would have asked me like, oh, an e-commerce store, yeah, like I'm gonna buy something if you email me, the answer is 100% yes. We had an e-commerce store that whenever we need a little boost, we do a little promo, hey, 20% off, and it would just come, like sales would just come in. And I was like, this is like a push button way for me to have a call to action, like literally. And what you're saying, just to bring this full circle, is Mark is saying, hey, remember how we know that this is important for us to do in our business, and the biggest blocker was actually the content that goes behind it? Well, guess what? You can now leverage an AI tool to actually create that content based on the prompts that you give it, so that you can continue to focus on the fundamentals and principles that a business needs, and it's to nurture their list by communicating to them. Like that's fascinating, man.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, while we're on this topic, and then I want to go to the area where it's kind of like not so obvious, but while we're on this area, what are some, because one of the things I realized, Mark, to give some context before I ask this, is that the quality output that you get is based on the quality of input or prompt that you give it. And the other advantage too is that it gets smarter as you kind of build out, as you continue to give it data. So what are some, again, high level, maybe few pointers that you found are critical to help get a better output when it comes to using these tools? Because I think now it's really important for us to understand how to speak to or work with this best intern in the world for lack of a better words. So what are some key things
Yeah.
that you've kind of learned over time, or better prompts than others?
Yeah, so let's bring it back to the intern example. Let's say you've got a
Mhm.
member of your staff on your team, and if you were to turn around and just say, "Write me this," they're gonna look at you with a blank expression and going, "Okay." And they could maybe go away and try and do it, but the quality is gonna be shocking. So it's all about communication, and the prompt is the key. Like OpenAI, they came out with some surveys and some stats and some numbers about 2 months into the like ChatGPT was available as of like December for the public use, right? And by the end of January, OpenAI said that 86% of all of the questions and the prompts were like less than one sentence, like literally less than one line. So we're learning how to use this and adapt to this technology, but
By the way,
it's
was
all
that a
in the
good thing or
prompt.
a
So
bad
the
thing? Just so
better
we
the
understand, because when I hear that, it's a bad thing, right?
a bad thing, yeah. Yeah, a bad thing, yeah, so it's a bad thing because it means that people go in, you know, "Do me this," or "Write me this," right? And it's just like, "What?" And it's like, the better the prompt,
Mhm.
the more you get back. Like I say, when I go into ChatGPT-4 now, and I open up a new tab, and this is a cool thing that not many people realize. If you've got a tab open on ChatGPT and you ask it a question, and if you stay within that tab, it will base all of the responses on the initial question, so you can build out a thread. So if you like want to rename the tab like guest communication, right? And you just stay in that one tab on ChatGPT, every additional question it'll answer, you're training it on the responses. So I've got tabs like which I call my email copywriter. I've got
Ooh.
one that's my social media writer. I've got one that's all those cool things because whenever I want to ask it to do something, it will learn based
Oh
on
my
that
gosh, you
tab,
gave me such a good
right?
idea.
It's
Oh my gosh, that's so good. Let me just
yeah,
share with you while I'm here. I'm so sorry. Mark, this is huge because
I go for it.
I don't even think I was thinking about it like this, but just to bring it home, whether you have a tab for a property, right? Or whether it's per a specific role, or and again, this is just coming into mind. So I'm sharing with you kind of like the light bulb moment that happened. Even for me, we have clients that have specific copy that we're trying to provide them, and they have a certain tone. So if you were to put in a specific
Mhm,
text in there, says, hey, try to keep the same tone based on this copy that I'm giving you, and be a professional. This is a key thing that I learned probably 2 weeks ago. I wasn't even using it like this. You're telling the intern to wear the hat of a blank, and then you put it in that channel.
mhm.
You can now start having a repository database where hey, let me go to this specific channel where the AI is getting smarter because it's focusing on that. I'm so glad you brought that home because I wasn't even thinking of that until you really just planted that seed. Experiment Nation, you've heard the word MTR, midterm rentals, as it is currently a hot topic and hot commodity right now because, again, there has been an increase in short term rental regulations, and there also has been, let's face it, a slowdown in what we were experiencing a couple years back when it comes to bookings. So, with that said, short term rental operators are looking for alternative solutions to tap into the midterm rental space. However, there is a space, there is a sub niche of midterm rental insurance that I'm truly excited about, that I want to share with you, that the experience that we've had, the tremendous results we've been able to have, and that's the insurance midterm rental space, which is very different than your traditional midterm rentals. When you think of traditionally midterm rentals, you think of travel nurses. There is a space, midterm rental insurance space, that we've tapped in, where you need to be well connected with insurance and relocation specialists and companies and understand the right type of asset required for you to be able to help these families. What's really important that stands out the most, which you can get in what I'm about to offer you, is the understanding where to be found by these insurance companies, how to properly manage your calendar so that your listings are optimized so that they can find you, how to actually gain traction and build a relationship with these relocation insurance companies. I've put together an MTR insurance blueprint. That's double MT triple R insurance blueprint to cover these foundations after we've had success landing very large contracts on single family homes that literally 4x what we traditionally make in long-term rentals, and also gives us peace of mind because there's less turnover and 100% occupancy, because these contracts can start anywhere from 30 days to 3 months to 8 months and range anywhere from, again, we've landed anywhere from $8,000 to $9,000 a month in per month on a single family home property, which our mortgages are typically around the 2,400 range, which then gives you a large spread of anywhere from 4 to 6K net on just one property. And this is why it's very hot right now. But people who haven't been in the lab with individuals like myself, like Jesse Vasquez and Dr. Rachel Gainsborough and Noble Crawford, don't have the foundations and don't know exactly where to start. And therefore, this is why I'm giving you guys a blueprint, the MTRR insurance blueprint. Go to the website, experimentrealestate.com, and get yourself a blueprint to completely change, or at least have a plan B if you're a short-term rental operator looking to maximize your occupancy and profitability. We'll see you on the other side.
Wow.
It's a powerful one. It's a powerful one. So, and again, like, you start off the conversation, you start off the tab by saying, okay, let's just say for whatever reason you call the tab Ryan Reynolds, right? You will say, right, what I want for you to do is I want for you to write for me a Twitter thread that is in the style of Ryan Reynolds, but it's all about my midterm rental brand or my short-term rental brand. And that's that tab. You'll open another tab. Okay, now you're going to be Brad Smith. Now you're going to be Zendaya. Now you're going to be Tom Holland or whatever. Now you're going to be X, whatever, right? And then again, you just substitute a celebrity for your client or for your property or for your brand or whatever you want to do it in, right? And I have mine like email copywriter, social media writer, blog writer. It could be research tool. It could be whatever. And you just consistently training it up. And I'll go, right, you are an email copywriter. You're the expert email copywriter. I am putting together an email. I have some bullet points that I want to share with you. Are you okay? Can I give them to you now? And it'll say, sure thing. Please give me them. Okay. So my bullet points. My name is Mark Simpson. The company is Boostly. We sell website solution products to hospitality owners that are in the short-term rental space. They could have 1 property to 20 properties. They are predominantly getting their bookings from Airbnb. We provide the tools, the tactics, the training. We have a full money back guarantee on our product if we fail to get you a return of bookings. I want for you to craft an email out that will speak to the reader, and the end goal is that they're going to click on boostly.co.uk/call to book a call. Go. And within less than a minute, it's crafted me a beautiful email. I copied it, I pasted it into ActiveCampaign, and this is literally something I did yesterday. And I hit send at 4 p.m. UK. So that's like 11 a.m. in the Eastern time. Had got the kids from school, had dinner, put them to bed, checked my report at 9 p.m. There had been 12 people that had booked a call for our Calendly, for our sales team. And there had been 20 extra people that had clicked on a YouTube testimonial. And that was literally something that happened 5 hours. Right. And that could be, if that turns into, let's just say out of those 12 calls, let's just say 6 people turn into a website, that could be $30,000 worth of revenue from one simple prompt.
Action to many results. And honestly, if you do it the right way, exponential results, right? Wow. Thank you. See, this is why I love these conversations, right? Because you kind of have, it's very similar to just talking about this with my buddy. He was just telling me, like, when you reread something or you reconsume something, this is why I do listen to even some previous episodes, like, based on where your paradigm is, you're going to capture different gems, right? And so flexing that muscle, like even being in this space for a while, yeah, I've heard of this, I've heard of that, but then you hear it in a different way at a different time and it just clicks. And that's why I would reinforce you, watching this, listening to this, to continue to like go deep, right? And continue to learn, because it's going to hit differently. And I know your point, it just hit differently. I'm going to reorganize my tabs. I just got a new EA too, like where we're going to operate. Oh man, I'm excited. Thank you, Mark. Mic drop already. But so that's what we had discussed as, or at least position as, the lowest hanging fruit, which So now if we
Yeah,
go into deep, right?
deeper.
Like we'll call it the dark
Yeah,
side, not because it's
and now
dark,
it's
but because people aren't even thinking about it yet. And
I've got some deep for you, right? You're gonna get strapped in. You're gonna get the lab coat ready, get a
let's
strong
hear.
coffee on the go because I'm gonna show you some things. I'm gonna tell you some things, right? So, okay. So this is what's coming next, and I can't even say it's coming next because it's here now. And if you take advantage of this now, you are going to be ahead of 95% of all your competition. And that's if you act now. And this is being recorded in June 2023, right? And you're going to listen to this or watch this in the future and go, wow, yeah, I should have acted then. So, first and foremost, GPT and AI is here to improve your productivity by 30% without you having to grow your team. Okay. And like you said, AI and ChatGPT is going to destroy 90% of Fiverr, but there's that 10% that are going to rise to the top. So I would say to anybody who is watching this who is scared, it's going to level up your game. So if you're watching this and you're an employee, it's going to level up your game because the cream
Mm.
always rises to the top. And this is where ChatGPT is so important because there are tools being created right now that will streamline every single aspect of your business. And here's what's going to happen is right now it's affecting businesses. So it's affecting Ruben, it's affecting me, it's affecting Airbnb, it's affecting booking.com, it's affecting every industry that you could possibly know of because people are having to adapt to it. Very, very soon, it's going to affect everybody. This week, Apple just announced their brand new product. The reporter sat down with Tim Cook. One of the first things that it asked about was AI. How is Apple adapting to AI? And he said that they are doing so much that users will not even realize when AI is impacting their phones or their devices or their computers, which is crazy. One of the first things it's going to get upgraded is Siri, right? Amazon have announced that they are actively working or improving Alexa. They've just announced this little Astro bot that's going to follow you around your house in the property. You know, it's sale in the US already. It costs like 1,500, right? But the Alexas are going to get a massive upgrade. Right now, when you have a conversation with your Alexa or have a conversation with your Siri, it is such a bad user experience. Imagine the power of GPT-4. Imagine the power of the world's greatest intern in your devices on Alexa or Siri. You could literally, to a point, you'll be able to go, "Hey Siri, I'm traveling to Nashville. I need to be staying in downtown. I need for you to find me a place for less than $200 a night that can sleep 4 people. That you know my likes and wants. You know what I like because you listen to everything I say, you watch everything I
The
do, right?
fact that you said, you know what I like, and
Get me
it's
the
like,
best."
yep.
And it will give you an option. It will give you like 2 or 3 options, and it will say, "Hey, you've got my card details already. Just go ahead and book it." Right there and then, what that is doing, it's eliminating Airbnb. Who needs Airbnb when you can literally just say to your phone, "Go and book
Oh
me a
my
place
gosh.
right now,"
And if
right?
you so
So
sorry,
bringing
Mark,
this,
this is so good. And if you're able to treat it like the way you've done it, what you would have is like, oh, I have a travel bucket. It knows what I like. It knows what seat I like. It knows I like to sit in the aisle. It knows I like the it knows my budget. It knows the airlines and it knows the points that I have. And so you could just be like, hey, it's me again. I need to go to Atlanta. You know what I like. Book the trip.
yeah,
Oh
well,
my
right.
gosh.
So
It's crazy.
this is what's going to happen. And there's some really cool movies that you can go and watch that are kind of scary, but not scary at the same time. So go watch the Joaquin Phoenix movie with
Could
Scarlett
you say that
Johansson. It's
one more
called
time
Her.
for our
This
French
is
people and English
it's
people and
called
Americans?
so Joaquin Phoenix, Scarlett Johansson. The movie's called Her. Her. That is a AI bot,
Oh,
and that's how a
I
guy
think I heard of
communicates
this.
with it. Go see that. And yeah, there's many like movies that you can go to get like an example of this, but this is where we are literally coming to where the everyday devices that we use, we're going to be able to have a communication and a talking with it, and it's going to communicate back, right? Look at the Apple product that they launched this week. They want you to wear this technology moving forward, which is a little bit Black Mirror for my
Mm.
liking, but that's where we're going. And at the moment it's impacting businesses, but eventually it's going to impact your guest. And this is where I bring it back to the direct booking hat on, right? And this is why it's important, because when an AI bot is scrolling the internet for the best price, right? It doesn't care whether it's on Airbnb, Verbo, Booking.com, or your direct booking site. As long as the best price is visible, that is where it will book. So all you need to do, and this is the simple tip that everybody can do right now, go to your PMS, whether it's Guesty, Uplisting, Hostaway, you name it, and you've got your base rate that you have. Let's just say base rate is $100 a night. You can upmarket and upprice it to the OTAs. So right now, go to the OTAs and upprice your thing by 30, 40% to the Airbnb, booking.com or whatever. So you'll always have the best price on your direct booking
Mm.
website. Okay. Then you can be very educational on your social media, on your email that you send out and say, hey, best rates are always when you book direct. Best rates are always when you book on our direct booking site. So even if it's the human or if it's the robot, they will know to go to your direct booking site. And Google are making a play on this right now. I've got a little bit of a spilling the tea. I know a little bit of thing that's going on behind the scenes. Google are actively trying to get involved in this industry, and they really want to tap into this and into the book direct world as well. So it'll be on your side if you've got the best rates on your site. But the easiest way to do is go into your PMS right now and just upmark the rates. And it's super simple. And if your PMS can't do it, change it to one that can. Okay, let's talk about some other tools that you can take advantage of. So there's an AI tool that I've been using pretty much on the daily, and it's called Monica.im. Now, Monica.im. And the reason why it's cool is, imagine that you had ChatGPT-4 that followed you around the internet, right? I am literally right now in the bottom right-hand corner of my Google Chrome. There is a little emoji that's looking at me. And if I pressed Command and Q, it would pop up on a tab. You won't be able to see this, but I can see this. If I'm reading a blog, if I'm reading a tweet or a Facebook post, if I highlight the text, it will translate it for me. It will explain it for me. It will turn it into a post that I can then post out with my like
No.
take on it. It will do everything that I want me around. Imagine, do you remember back in the day, old school
Yeah, that little
Microsoft Doc, and
paperclip.
it had that little paper clip? This is the AI version, my
That's
friend. It's called
crazy.
Monica. It's totally free as well. So Monica.im. So imagine ChatGPT that just follows you around the internet. And the final one that I'll give you, and this is like the high level one. Now, this costs a bit of money. This is like $200 a month. But from a marketing and lead point of view, if you do real estate, hospitality, or a business owner, this is unreal. So this is called Tavus.io, Tavus.io. And what this is that you spend 15 minutes talking into a camera and training it. So it learns your mouth, it learns your tonality, it learns your language and how you talk. And then what you then do is you record a 1 minute video where you say, hey, Ruben, thank you so much for booking a stay with us at Invested Escapes, etc., etc. I'm the owner, and I just want to say you're going to have a fantastic time staying with us at Property A. Your check-in date is this, your checkout date is that. And again, we will be in touch with you via email and SMS closer to your stay. Again, thank you so much for your booking. That took you about a minute to do. That 1 minute video, you will then send that out hundreds or thousands of times whenever a guest books, and the AI will adjust the voice and the tonality and how you talk, because it will sync in with your data, with your
Oh my
CRM, the
god.
data that you're collecting. So let's say the booking comes in from Guesty and I've booked with you. It won't say Ruben, it'll say, hey, Mark, and it will say, oh, you're staying here. And it will do it all for you automatically. The user getting that will get it as a text message, will get it as an email, and they'll go watch
Well,
that
I'm
video and go,
sorry.
oh, wow,
It's
this
sending
is
a
a
video of
it's
of
sending a
you,
video. Yeah, sending a video
and it just like over like
you.
if it's 11
And
and it changes to 3, just like over it like oh
yeah, 100%.
stop. I can't do
And
it.
that's the guest experience. So that's the guest experience angle. So imagine the other, imagine like with a realtor hat on, right? Say that you've got 100 people that are interested or on your list that are interested on a property in Manhattan that's like would fit within a budget, and say that you get a property on the books, right? You can record a walkthrough video on your phone in the property
Personalize their
saying,
name.
"Hey, Mark, yeah, hey Mark, I'm in here. This property has got, da 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 da. It's perfect for you. Get in contact with me, right?" You plug that into your AI, it takes it from the CRM, it changes out the name, and it sends it in blast to 100 people right there and then. And that's sales right there. So it's $200 a month, but the return on investment on that is huge, right? And it's that personalized marketing. And if you were to do that one message to 100 people, that'd take you forever to do. But this just, you record it with a minute, you plug it into the system, and it sends it SMS, video message, off it goes automatically.
Mark, I don't have any
Powerful
words,
stuff.
man. My mind's racing because I've dabbled a lot of a few softwares like that, and it just wasn't as smooth as I wanted it to be, and um, just my mind's racing. There's just it's limitless opportunities.
Personalized, we are going to a world where personalized marketing is everything. And if you wonder what personalized marketing is, Airbnb with this new summer release has just turned into Tinder. That's
Oh yeah, you're
literally
talking about the
all it
room, the
all it is
guest,
now.
get
Airbnb.
to know your guest, your host, excuse me, and the room.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. So if you ever watch a video on YouTube where it's here's how to rank number one on Airbnb, it's out of date. It's invalid because it doesn't matter anymore, because the Airbnb that you see is going to be the different to the Airbnb that I see. Booking.com have invested millions into their machine learning capability, and Booking.com runs more tests
Is that right?
than probably Amazon, because every single button, every single image, every single word in placement is now designed so that when I land on the site, it's going to get me to take an action. And if you land on the site, you'll see something different to what I see. It's all about personalization now, right? And that's where Airbnb have gone with this latest update. So how can we, as the small business owner, keep up, right? It all boils down to personalized marketing. That's why it's so important that you've got to be collecting a database. You've got to be collecting a list: name, last name, email, phone number, address. And how can we do something on a very simple scale? If you can get an address down, so if you've got a postal address and it comes to Christmas, just write a Christmas card to your guests and just say, "Thank you so much for staying with us this year. We really appreciate you supporting a local business. Hey, if you want to come stay with us next year, let me know. Here's my private number. We'll do you a great deal."
Mm.
That's personalized marketing where no one else is going to be doing. So it's like these old school tactics that maybe my parents were doing 30 years ago. That is going to become the new school market. It's like it's taken all of these cool things that are out there. Yes, adapt to it. But remember, when everybody zigs, you zag. And that's what's going to win moving forward.
Man,
I did say the second half would get a bit
this is
crazy.
wild, man. Because you know what it is, Mark? It's like it's I've heard someone say this. It's like, do you feel that there's two things that can happen, right? From this, it's like, wow, everyone's well equipped to be like all-star, top tier. And when you give everybody tools like that, then are we all going to be? But the reality is, no, right? The reality is, even with all these tools that are disposable to us, you know, there's still going to be a big, and I don't want to throw a percentage out there because I don't know, but there's a big percentage of people who are still just not going to use them, right? Which then gives you, the little guy, an advantage to use these tools that are actually, compared to what you'd have to pay in the past to get this level of technology, is nothing. And now you almost have the tools
Mm,
that some of these big corporations have, but they needed
yeah,
all sorts of departments for that, or these big contracts and vendors to get this stuff done. And now the little guy has
yeah.
access to it. But the good news, and I believe, and I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, not every little guy is going to use this, little guy or gal. And I think that's where the
I
opportunity is,
feel
right?
100%. I feel like Boostly, and Boostly is 100% bootstrapped. It's all my money. But I feel for the first time ever in my career, I have got the same amount of potential and the same amount of tools as what Airbnb or whoever may have. And that's because of this fantastic technology. I feel like I've got a lot of funding just behind me all of a sudden. And I can do all the cool things, and I haven't had to hire, I haven't had to pay any big amounts of money for it. It's all been pretty much free. And that's the cool thing about it. I feel like level pegging because it is all so new. It feels very the beginning of social media. It feels very much like the beginning of the internet sort of days. And so it's very, very powerful. Obviously, anything can happen. It's changing at exponential rates. It literally, if somebody listens to this podcast in December, it could already be out of date because of how fast it's all moving, and who knows what's going to happen in the future. But right now, it feels very promising. It feels very, very fresh, exciting, and every single day I discover a new tool or a new tweak or a new prompt or something cool that we can do. Even this week, Loom, I send lots of Loom videos. Even this week on Loom, AI was automatically amending the title for me after I've recorded it. I didn't even need to set my own title for the Loom. It was doing for me automatically. And it's only a amount of time before Google and they bring in AI and Bard into, we're going to call it Copilot, and they're going to bring it into Gmail, Docs, Sheets, etc. So you could be pulling a sheet together of like all of your bookings from the last year, and you'll say, okay, Copilot, find me the one guest that paid the most amount of money, or what was the what was the trend? Which dates were my most popular dates? And it will literally answer you it within seconds. You won't even
Yeah,
believe.
especially if you have some,
So
and I'd love to hear where the evolution of. It's almost like when I hear of Monica, I almost think of Monica.im, not a person. I'm thinking there's going to be more of this data that allows to follow your trends and your habits and data that you encounter every day, so that when you're asking, it's so personalized that based on whether it's your accounts or your PMS or your customer base, you'll be able to pull data like this, which again, at the corporate level, we're talking about like these big corporations, these consulting firms that used to do that kind of stuff. Like, KPIs,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
your CAC. Like
yeah,
there's a bunch of things that we didn't have access to that now we can have someone just not someone, an AI tool to give us the information to then be
yeah.
able to make the right decisions or executions for a business. So
At speed. Yeah, at speed. Like Zero, for example, we use our version of QuickBooks is called Zero, and Zero have now got an AI feature, and I can go into there and I'll ask it a question. I say, okay, so what's our forecast? Like stuff that I would have to ask somebody, and it would take ages to get an answer back. I can get it back within minutes. I go, okay, so where's the part of the business that we're struggling with at the moment, like financially? Where's the X, Y, and Z? And you can just ask those questions as a business owner, and it'll give you answers at speed. So you can make more informed decisions at speed, which means you will grow and you will do all those things. And it's
and you said
exciting
what was that
times.
called? Zero?
So yeah, XERO. It's our
Oh,
accounting
zero.
software
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
we use behind the scenes. Yeah, yeah. I
Yep.
know like QuickBooks is very popular over in the States
Yeah.
and it is in the UK, but yeah, we use Zero, and they just literally, let's say the companies now are scrambling to adapt. I'm putting together a podcast episode and it's called How the Vendors in Hospitality Are Adapting to AI. And I've been sending out messages to all of our partners that we work with at Boostly and saying, hey, do you mind, give me a breakdown of what you're doing? Send me a 1 minute video of what you're doing. And the amount of people who are saying, yeah, we'll get it back to you, but we're not actually doing anything at the moment. We're kind of building, we're trying to build stuff. And it's like, it's so interesting to see who's on the ball, who's adapting quickly and who's scrambling to keep up. And, I'm proud to say Boostly is like at the forefront. Like we've already built Chat GPT into our website building and all those cool things and stuff. And the things that we're doing is cool. So yeah, it's exciting
I love
times.
that, Mark. So, Mark, I'm dying to ask you two questions, and I apologize. I looked down at the time, and we went over time again. So, we're just gonna wrap this up. But I have these two dying questions that I want to ask you. Okay, one of them is very personal, and I believe we actually had this conversation in Nashville together, or at least part of this conversation. But I want to share it here with the audience because I need to reinforce this this the answer to this question. So we heard of you know Monica.im, Travis.io. These are all new tools. And a lot of us who are listening are either operators, running our business, and some of us are trying to work on the business and not in it. Some of us are still working in the business. Some of us haven't gotten into business yet, or maybe they're still working towards whatever their aspirations are. And I hear all these tools, and there's two things that can happen. I can jot it down. I can say that sounds cool, and that could be the end of it, or I can start implementing it. Now, I love giving tactical, practical advice in the lab, and my biggest question is, in this phase where there's so much new technology, there's so many things to experiment, as I would call it here in the lab, that's great. But how do I tactically start experimenting these things? Do I take one activity that I'm so used to doing constantly and say, you know what? Mark mentioned this. Let me take an extra 10 minutes to try to implement it in a new way. Do I carve out a specific day of the week where I say today is implementation day of a new with a new set of lens? How do you do it in your life? Do you carve out time to specifically experiment new tools? Do you attach it to an existing activity that you're doing? How do I change my habit of doing things myself, of assigning something to my assistant? How do I start leveraging these tools in a way that allows me to actually be in the top percentile where I'm not late to the party?
So here's what I would do, and it's super simple, and I encourage everybody to do it. Change your homepage on your Chrome or your Safari to what's the domain? chat.openai.com GPT. When you open a new tab on your Chrome or your Safari, have it default to open to ChatGPT. So it is just always there whenever you open your mobile browser, whenever you open your chat browser, whenever you open whatever your computer in the daytime, it's the first thing that pops out. So it sits there and it's prevalent, and it reminds you to keep going back to it. On your phone, on your home screen, download the app so it's there and it's present and you see it every day. Because when it's out of sight, it's out of mind, and you will not carve the time out to come to it. But if every time you are on the internet and you open a new homepage or a new tab and it's literally there, you'll go, I need to go into here. And so the next time you've got an email to write, or next time you've got an email to respond to, use ChatGPT. Every time you've got a Facebook post or an Instagram caption to write, or a LinkedIn post or an email, or a whatever you want to do, any research you want to do, just have it there present in front of your face every single time. I can see it literally right now because I've just opened up a tab to get their domain. So I know to go into it.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm doing
And the
it.
reason that's so important, I appreciate you sharing that, is I think it's change is hard. And I'm listening to I'll share with you what I'm listening, and Mark, I think you would really appreciate this as well. I'll send it to you once we get offline. But it's Change Your Paradigm, Change Your Life by Bob Proctor. And I'm listening to this thing and I'm like, oh my goodness, right? Like when we talk, a paradigm is a habit, right? And so how do you start, even if it doesn't feel like it's in the flow of what you're used to, how do you break that for a longer change in trajectory? Because we talk about a 30% increase of productivity, and it might feel you might feel a little bit of friction with change because it's completely normal to. But I think when you think about the outcome, and when you get your hands on this and you start realizing the power, then you'll start looking at every problem with and start thinking of who, not how. And when you start thinking of who, your who should be that that AI, that what do we call it? That intern, that glorified intern that you have now in your back pocket with you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the cool thing. Like when you're talking about the Bob Proctor book, it made me feel of like James Clear, and he talks about don't set goals, you set habits. And yeah, Who Not How is a fantastic book, and I loved it. But now, like the problem with Who Not How is that it says, right, instead of like how do you fix it, who do you have to bring into your business or your life to fix it? The cool thing is you don't have to even struggle about recruiting or hiring. You can literally try the robot first.
Well, you could even tell the
pick
robot
a voice.
whose lens that you want them to implement, because we talked about it. Hey, pretend to be a professional, or I tried this the other day with a team. It's insane. Be a short-term or vacation rental professional vacation rental copywriter from your lens. give me the answer.
Mhm.
How would you say it? And that keyword,
Yeah.
vacation rental copywriter, multifamily syndication, hotelier, like that changes. And the crazy part is it was taking out keywords and KPIs from that industry. It knows what you should be focusing on. So when you start
Yeah.
thinking about that, you do have the who in your
Yeah.
back pocket. You just got to use it as a prompt and it will start giving you outputs from that lens, which is incredible.
Well, talking about prompts, I actually have a running Google Doc that has got 100 prompts of all the ones that I am learning and discovering, and I'm adding the tools to it. So everybody's welcome to get it. It's a totally free Google Doc. All you have to do, go onto Google, type in boostly.co.uk/robot, ROBOT. Boostly is BOOSTLY. It will take you to Facebook Messenger. It'll ask you a question and it will give you access to that doc. Save it. Keep it open on your notes or whatever, because I'm always adding to it. I'm always adding the fresh tools or new prompts that I'm learning. I discovered a really cool one the other day and I added it to the doc. So yeah, it's free and everyone can hack it and get hold of it whenever you want. So yeah, boostly.co.uk/robot, and we can learn on this
Man,
together.
I am so grateful that you decided to step back into the lab. And I know it's getting late over there. So just thank you from the bottom of my heart, Mark. You know how much you mean to me. I always tell you offline, on the air, not afraid to tell the people who the plug is. Shout out to Mark Simpson, man, of Boostly. I really, when I look at someone, when I look at the business, I always like to look at the operator. And what I appreciate from you is that you're always ahead of the curve, staying on top of trends, building on top of them, and still staying true to the core fundamental principles, which we talked about here and we brought full circle in the lab. So, brother, man, I'm really happy to what you've built. I'm very grateful for the help that you've given us, giving us a platform where we can showcase our properties and making it a direct a beeline for people to book with us directly. But at the same time, just your wealth of knowledge, man. And I know you and I will always talk offline, but I'm glad we got a chance to do this on the air because there was a lot there. But I'm gonna do
Yeah,
that. I'm gonna, I'm a practitioner, guys. I take action. So I'm gonna be putting that homepage, changing that, implementing these tools that we learned today, and I'll be sharing with you guys. But definitely yes. So boostly.co.uk/robot. I tap in. I actually tapped into this
yeah,
a little while back. I got to make sure it's at the top of my inbox. So I'll make sure I join that list again to see what the latest and greatest, because right now things are moving so quickly that the last thing you want to do is get left behind
yeah,
because you're not giving yourself the ability to experiment in a new dimension.
yeah. Yeah, I just added 100. There's 100 prompts on how to grow your Instagram. There's like prompts that you can ask ChatGPT that'll help you grow your Instagram, which is some of the results that from there are crazy. So, yeah, tap into that. Man, I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to chatting on WhatsApp and looking forward to seeing you in person again in October in Orlando potentially for
Yeah,
the Pockets
yeah. I
conference.
gotta talk to you
Maybe.
about that. We got another wedding. I'm drowning in wedding season, guys. Somebody come help me. I need a wedding doctor. But we'll figure it out.
Yeah,
We'll see if we can make that one work.
not Nashville.
Yeah, and that one's gonna be
Nashville next
big
February.
because we're gonna
Nashville
have
next February.
we gotta catch up offline about what we're gonna do on the back end. You can count on me. I'm excited to be part of
We're gonna do
another experiment, content box, and all that. But Experiment Nation, Mark Simpson here, Boostly, Ruben Kanya, your host of the Real Estate Experiment, and just like that, we are out. Experiment Nation, podcasting has changed the way we operate as real estate investors ourselves, and it can do the same for you. Podcasting has been the source of the masterclasses that we get thanks to the world-class real estate investors and practitioners and specialists that come into the lab from all realms, from short-term rentals to mid-term rentals to real estate syndications to even software as a service. Owners, founders, entrepreneurs have helped enrich our experiments by giving us the education, helping us build a network, and lastly, and most importantly, a brand association to open up multiple doors for our respective businesses. If you understand the power that podcasting can have and you know that you need one for your brand, please, you can rely on our team investedtalent.com is my team and the team that helps this podcast, The Real Estate Experiment, become the fruition each and every single week to educate my community, build relationships on the air, and continue to build our brand. If you know that you need to do the same for your brand and you haven't pulled the trigger yet, maybe because you don't know how, our company, investedtalent.com, does the end-to-end from the time that you record, from the time that it is published, to even repurposing content on multiple social media platforms. That's what my team can do for you. Simply go to investedtalent.com and book a discovery call to see how my team can help you launch your podcast.